Hello everyone, Dark of All Trades here. Today, I want to talk a little bit about a subject I hear more frequently than I probably should. I want to talk about our communication. This is the main motivator behind why I wanted to become an educator. I want to help people communicate better. I believe that if people could improve their communication skills even just a little bit, then we could avoid a lot of problems. Communication involves more than just what we say. For the focus today, I want to go into how we say what we want to communicate. Some may disagree, but I put forth that the main job of preachers and pastors is to be an effective communicator. When I was still part of the church, my goal was to be a pastor. I studied very hard and learned how to make sermons and even was a youth leader, teaching the older kids separately who may not have enjoyed the main sermon. I know that pastors have to be clear, speak with confidence, be dignified in the eyes of their congregation, and even be a little bit entertaining. They have to be leaders and directors. While definitely not fully encompassing the job, they have to be a teacher of sorts, or at minimum, they have to appear to be a teacher. All of this is how they get their congregation to come back next Sunday and keep those collection plates full. All of this leads to today's video, a short by a channel called Victory Baptist Church, which seems to be an independent Baptist church out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. This one is titled, An Important Message to Atheists. Well, if it's important, I should want to hear it, right? What do you think this message is going to be? Do you think this pastor, whose name I couldn't find, though I admit I didn't look too hard, is going to ask us to repent? Maybe he's going to invite us to sit and listen to a sermon in the Delulu that we haven't heard the word of Mr. Jesus. Or is he going to go the other way and say that he and his God love us no matter what in the love the sinner, hate the sin kind of way? Let me know what you think the message is going to be in the comments below. For now, let's just see what Pastor Unnamed has to say.
Only heaven silence for an answer.
Okay, I tried to be lazy but couldn't. I took some more time and went on their website, and it seems there are two people listed under the preacher category, and they both have the last name of Dvorak, so I'll call him that from now on.
And you've been angrily mocking the things of God, perhaps even trying to disrupt the work of God.
Starting off strong here with a weird choice of where to start the video. I don't think I would ever start my message to anyone with, "and you've been." I feel like we're missing something important. I wonder what the first part of that sentence was. Though I suppose not enough to go digging looking for it. Anyway, Pastor Dvorak claims that atheists have been angrily mocking God. This assertion might be targeting a specific group or individual, but it's worth examining what he means by mocking. Personally, I don't generally engage with what I would call mocking, but let's dig into this. To start, let's clarify what mocking means. One definition of mocking is to ridicule or deride. I've reviewed my content, and while I don't intend to mock in the sense of pure ridicule, I do point out what I see as the implausibility of certain religious beliefs. For example, I often discuss how the existence of God can appear laughably unreal or impossible, so in that sense, some might argue I do engage in a form of mocking. Well, let's break it down a little further. Do I do this angrily? Well, rarely. Passionate, perhaps, especially when discussing the real-world consequences of religious doctrines. For instance, when I highlight the unbridled harm that religions have done and continue to do, I can get animated. Consider the many ways religious beliefs have been used to justify discrimination, hinder scientific progress, or even incite violence. It's hard not to feel a strong emotional response to these issues. When I see religious individuals, particularly Christians in my country, pushing for laws based on their religious beliefs, effectively trying to impose those beliefs on everyone, it's natural to react. This imposition on personal freedoms and rights is not just frustrating, but infuriating. Should we not get angry when our freedoms are threatened? Should we stay silent when people suffer because of dogma? Anger in this context is not just natural, but necessary. Take, for example, the issue of religious-based laws that impact education, women's rights, or the LGBTQIA+ rights. When I critique these actions, I might be seen as mocking the belief system that justifies them. Is that wrong? I argue it's a moral duty. When beliefs cause harm, challenging them becomes imperative. If mocking these harmful ideologies brings attention to their flaws, then perhaps mockery has its place. Let's also address the issue of disrupting the work of God. This is a, we'll say, fascinating claim. If a mere human can disrupt what is supposedly divine work, what does that say about the God in question? How fragile is this deity's plan if it can be thwarted by a few videos or social media posts? This raises questions about the supposed omnipotence of this God. An all-powerful being should, by definition, be beyond the influence of human actions. But let's go deeper. Maybe Pastor Dvorak is speaking about atheists collectively. How many atheists does it take to disrupt God's work? Is it just one vocal critic, or does it require a movement? And what about the idea that everything is part of God's plan? If God's will is unchangeable, then no atheist can truly disrupt it. It's a paradox. Though, if we are just trying to disrupt, as the pastor says, then it ultimately makes no difference, so why worry? Consider this analogy. There's an ant trying to disrupt my plan to drive to the grocery store. It's absurd to think that an ant could stop me. Similarly, if God's plan is so grand and powerful, how could anything we do make a difference? This line of reasoning brings up another critical point: the human need to understand and challenge authority. From a broader perspective, challenging religious beliefs isn't just about atheism versus theism, it's about critical thinking and the pursuit of truth. When people like me question the existence of heaven, hell, or any divine entity, we're engaging in a long tradition of human inquiry. Philosophers, scientists, and thinkers throughout history have asked these questions. Mocking, if you will, is part of a larger discourse aimed at understanding our universe. Moreover, the role of a preacher or pastor involves not just communicating beliefs, but also addressing doubts and criticisms. By labeling these challenges as angry mocking, there's an attempt to dismiss legitimate questions and concerns. This is not just unfair, but counterproductive. Open dialogue and debate are essential for any belief system to remain relevant and robust. Though something tells me open dialogue with an actual atheist would not be welcomed at that church, especially not with an audience. Finally, let's return to the practical impacts. When religious leaders influence politics and policy, their beliefs affect everyone, not just their followers. When these beliefs are harmful or discriminatory, pushing back becomes a societal obligation. If that pushback involves mockery to highlight absurdities, then so be it. Mockery has historically been a powerful tool for social change, from satire in ancient Greece to modern political cartoons. Pastor Dvorak's assertion that atheists angrily mock to try to disrupt the Word of God touches on deeper issues of power, belief, and societal norms. If mocking is what it takes to question and challenge harmful beliefs, then it's not just a natural response, but a necessary one. The real question we should ask is why these beliefs can't withstand scrutiny, and why those who hold them feel so threatened by critique.
But fighting against God will get you nowhere.
Let's unpack this from a few different perspectives. Firstly, philosophically, the concept of fighting against God assumes the existence of this deity in the first place. From an atheist perspective, the idea of fighting against something that doesn't exist is moot. It's like telling someone they're wasting their energy fighting against unicorns or leprechauns. Without evidence of the actual existence of a god, the notion of fighting against one is purely hypothetical. However, if we take the statement as a metaphor for opposing religious institutions or doctrines, then the argument becomes more interesting. Historically, challenging established religious beliefs has often led to significant social and scientific progress. Think about figures like Galileo, who fought against the church's geocentric views and fundamentally changed our understanding of the universe. Were his efforts getting nowhere? Quite the opposite. They paved the way for modern science. Practically, opposing harmful religious practices and beliefs has led to critical advancements in human rights and freedoms. Consider the abolition of slavery, the fight for women's suffrage, or the ongoing struggle for LGBTQIA+ rights. Many of these movements faced fierce opposition from religious institutions, yet they achieved substantial progress. Fighting against harmful interpretations of religious doctrines has, indeed, gotten us somewhere toward a more just and equitable society. Moreover, the notion of fighting against God often conflates questioning religious authority with opposing a divine will. In many cases, what is perceived as divine will is actually the interpretation of religious leaders. These interpretations have historically been challenged to foster progress. For instance, the Church once opposed the idea of a heliocentric solar system, but through persistent questioning and scientific inquiry, humanity embraced a more accurate understanding of our cosmos. This isn't fighting against a god, but rather against outdated and incorrect human interpretations. Personally, many atheists and agnostics see our questioning of religious beliefs as not a fight against a deity, but as a pursuit of truth and understanding. It's about seeking evidence and reason rather than accepting dogma. This intellectual curiosity and skepticism are fundamental to human progress. To suggest that questioning or opposing religious beliefs is futile undermines the very essence of critical thinking and free inquiry. The statement also implies a certain defeatism, an acceptance that things are unchangeable because they're divinely ordained. This mindset can be dangerous as it discourages people from challenging injustices or striving for improvement. For example, if historical figures had accepted the status quo as God's will, we might still be living in a world with institutionalized slavery, widespread gender inequality, and lack of scientific understanding. Theologically, many religious traditions encourage questioning and seeking understanding. For instance, in the quote-unquote Judeo-Christian tradition, the story of Jacob wrestling with the angel, often interpreted as wrestling with God, is seen as a powerful symbol of grappling with faith and doubt. It's a reminder that even within religious contexts, questioning and struggling with belief are part of the spiritual journey. Finally, consider the impact on individuals and communities. By advocating for secularism and questioning religious practices that infringe on personal freedoms, many have found greater personal fulfillment and societal harmony. The separation of church and state, for instance, allows for diversity of beliefs and protects individual rights. This separation is a direct result of questioning and opposing the dominance of religious institutions in public life. The statement, "fighting against God will get you nowhere," can be seen as an attempt to discourage critical thinking and opposition to harmful religious practices. From historical, practical, and personal perspectives, questioning and challenging religious beliefs has led to significant progress and improvements in human society. Far from getting us nowhere, this questioning has propelled us forward, fostering greater understanding, justice, and freedom.
Other than hell.
I promise I did not intentionally stop early to leave that part out. I pause when I think I have something to respond to, and well, I have another response here. Adding "other than hell" turns the statement into a clear threat. This is a common tactic used by many religious institutions to discourage dissent and maintain control over their followers. By invoking fear of eternal punishment, the preacher here is attempting to shut down any questioning or opposition. Remember, this is a message for atheists. As such, for atheists, the concept of hell is just as unsubstantiated as the concept of God. Threatening someone with a place they don't believe is ineffective and highlights the obvious attempted use of fear as a tool for compliance. It's important to recognize this for what it is: a method to enforce conformity and suppress critical thinking. Threats of hell shouldn't deter us from questioning harmful practices and seeking the truth. Progress in human rights and scientific understanding often involves challenging established norms, regardless of the fear tactics used to prevent it. As I briefly alluded to, I've made a video showing how the existence of hell disproves the generally accepted concept of God. If you have interest in that, check it out. I'll leave a link to it in the description. But this shows more and more why people like Pastor Dvorak are doing something so harmful because of their religion. It's not just the threat of hell, there's an underlying message behind it. In his mind, in his religion, if hell did exist and atheists were to go there, then that would be the absolute best thing that could happen to us. It suggests that being tortured, screaming in fire forever while believers are peacefully in heaven is a good outcome. Does this sound like a good thing to anyone? Is it any wonder why people get angry when such ideas are pushed? I am glad this God doesn't exist.
If God isn't real, it makes no logical sense for you to fight against that which doesn't exist.
Here we have a classic misunderstanding at best and a malicious deflection of blame at worst. We are not fighting against a God we don't think exists. We're fighting against the idea that people believe this God exists and wants them to do these harmful things. Firstly, it's about the impact of beliefs. Even if atheists don't believe in God, the actions taken by those who do can have real, tangible consequences. Religious beliefs influence laws, social norms, and personal behaviors. When these actions harm others or infringe on personal freedoms, it becomes necessary to oppose them. It's not the non-existence of a deity that we're challenging, but the detrimental effects of belief in that deity. Second, consider historical context. Many social injustices have been justified by invoking divine will. Slavery, the subjugation of women, and the persecution of LGBTQIA+ individuals are just a few examples. These issues required vocal opposition to religious justifications to promote progress and human rights. Fighting against these beliefs isn't illogical, it is essential for societal advancement. Thirdly, the power of ideas. Ideas, even those about deities, shape cultures and influence human behavior. When an idea is harmful, challenging it is a rational response. This includes questioning religious doctrines that promote discrimination, hinder scientific progress, or justify violence. It's about advocating for reason, evidence-based thinking, and compassion. Next, the importance of dialogue and critique. In any healthy society, all ideas, including religious ones, should be open to scrutiny and debate. This process helps ensure that harmful or unfounded beliefs don't go unchallenged. By engaging in this discourse, atheists contribute to a culture of critical thinking and intellectual rigor. Finally, personal and community harm. On a personal level, many individuals suffer due to religious dogma. This can range from guilt and fear instilled by teachings of eternal damnation to discrimination faced in secular settings influenced by religious morality. Addressing these issues is not about fighting a non-existent being, but about alleviating real human suffering. It makes perfect logical sense to fight against the harmful effects of belief in something that doesn't exist. It's about protecting human rights, promoting rational thinking, and creating a better, more just world for everyone. When religious beliefs lead to actions that harm others, questioning and opposing those beliefs becomes not just logical, but necessary.
But deep down, you know He is real.
This claim that, deep down you know He is real, stems from the all too often used Romans 1:20, which is a common assertion made by believers to dismiss the sincere disbelief of atheists. However, it reflects a misunderstanding of the atheist perspective and can be quite presumptive. Let me break this down further. Firstly, respecting individual experiences and beliefs. To suggest that atheists secretly believe in God implies that they're either in denial or being dishonest about their beliefs. This dismisses the genuine experiences and reflections that lead people to atheism. Many atheists have arrived at their position through careful considerations, study, and personal introspection. It's important to respect these personal journeys rather than dismiss them with blanket assumptions. Secondly, psychological projection. This claim can often be a form of projection. Believers, especially those deeply convinced of their faith, may find it difficult to comprehend a worldview without their God. As a result, they must project their own certainty onto others, assuming that deep down everyone must feel the same way. However, this projection does not reflect the true beliefs or experiences of atheists. Thirdly, the search for truth. Many atheists are deeply committed to the search for truth and understanding. If there were credible evidences for the existence of a deity, they would be willing to consider it. The assertion that atheists know He's real undermines the commitment to evidence and reason. It suggests that atheists are ignoring some innate knowledge, which simply isn't the case. The lack of belief is often rooted in the lack of convincing evidence. Moreover, personal experience and diversity. People's belief about the existence of deity are diverse and shaped by a wide range of personal experiences. Some atheists may have never found the concept of God convincing, even from a young age. Others might have believed in the past, but found their beliefs changed over time due to new experiences and information. Assuming a uniform inner belief of God oversimplifies this diversity. Furthermore, dialogue and understanding. Claims like, deep down you know He is real, can shut down meaningful dialogue. For a constructive conversation about beliefs and perspectives, it's crucial to acknowledge and respect differences in understanding and experience. Dismissing atheists' genuine disbelief can create a barrier to mutual understanding and respect. Lastly, the burden of proof. In any claim about the existence of something, the burden of proof lies with the person making the claim. Believers asserting that God exists must provide evidence for this belief. It is not up to atheists to prove the non-existence of God, just as it is not the responsibility to prove the non-existence of any other deity or supernatural being. The claim that atheists know He is real attempts to shift this burden unfairly. The assertion that atheists deep down know He is real is both presumptive and dismissive. It overlooks the genuine thought processes, experience, and convictions that lead to atheism. To foster better understanding and dialogue, it's important to engage with each other's perspectives respectfully and acknowledge the diversity of beliefs and experiences. The journey of understanding the world is complex and personal, and dismissing others' conclusions undermines the richness of this human experience.
I've been there. I would mock God when I was right across the street in that parking lot working for Burger King, and I would be mocking God in my heart even toward this church. But I knew He was real the whole time. I pretended I didn't, but I knew.
Your personal experience of mocking God while secretly believing does not reflect the experience of atheists. Everyone's journey with belief and disbelief is unique. Assuming others secretly share your beliefs can be misleading. Many atheists have genuinely concluded through reason and evidence that no God exists. It's important to respect these different perspectives rather than projecting personal experiences onto others. And that's the end of his video. A short video, but worth paying attention to the message actually being shared here. So what was the message he was trying to get across here? Well, here is the entire script of his video. What message do you take from this? Was it different than what I got? For those of you that had a guess going in, was the important message different than what you thought it was going to be? Let me know in the comments below. That's it for this one. So what did you think? Do you think this message was an important one for us atheists to receive? Or do you think it came across as a thinly veiled threat? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoy dissecting this angry rant, don't forget to hit the like button. If you think this kind of content should be served from you right across the street, Burger King or not, consider subscribing if you haven't already. An extra special thanks to my patrons, Calamitous Anima, Sora, Long-Haired Lefty, Musical Ocelot, Ooga Booga Luga, Tarek Alkasab, Jamabom, Kai Henningsen, Triple Towel, and now welcome to Anonymous Netizen, who are the evidence that deep down I know my channel is real. If you want to be that logic and evidence that shows a God doesn't exist, you can join them for as low as $1 a month at patreon.com/darkofalltrades. Now, if all goes according to plan, the video for next week will be an extra special one. I can tell you more about it, but it's a little bit of a surprise. Thank you all for enjoying what I do and appreciating the work that goes into it. There's a lot that goes into making a video like this, and finding the right content to respond to is one of the biggest challenges. I need to give a bonus thanks to the wonderful people on my Discord. Thank you for helping me with excellent conversation, interesting points, and even providing videos for me to check out. While this isn't one of them, I've used a couple so far, and I bet I'll use plenty more. A link to join that Discord is in the description. Thank you all for checking me out. I appreciate you all. And as always, keep learning.